What is that tissue? Bone connective tissue. Good. So we already got that one. Hallelujah. Got that one down. And who is this one, by the way? The one with A, B, C, D on it. Who's this? Name this tissue. Oh, it's hard. There's the answer. Right? Blood connective tissue. And this is all up on D2L, by the way, if you haven't seen this yet. These are all, what are these all pale colored cells here? If I said name these cells, what are they? Good. The pale ones that are numerous, most numerous are the erythrocytes. Good. What about that little bitty chip right there underneath my X?
Platelet.
Good. Thrombocyte. Good. And how about these larger purple ones?
Leukocytes.
Leukocytes. Excellent. Leukocytes. Good. Okay. There's dense regular again. All right. And what did we say we were going to name next? Oh, let's go to this guy. Let's go to this guy. I've got a much better picture of him. And it's in my newest version here. Okay. There we are. Okay, let's go back to this this picture here. This is the picture that you have on that front page of the handout that I gave for you tonight. Remember when we went through the trachea? And I said, hey, here's the pseudostratified columnar epithelium, then there's the connective tissue. And then the rings were made of what on the vacuum cleaner tube? The rings were made of what? They were made of cartilage. Is that correct? And cartilage looks like this when it's on lower power, and it looks like this when it's on higher power. Okay? Looks like that on higher power. So cartilage connective tissue is the name of that tissue. And the cell itself, cartilage connective tissue, and the cell itself is called a chondrocyte. Okay? There's a chondrocyte. But the chondrocyte, you know, cartilage is pretty firm, isn't it? Just like bone. Cartilage is firm. So it lives in a what? Remember this? What that thing is called right there? The space?
Mm-hmm.
What was the space called that surrounds these cells? Lacuna. Exactly. So let's go over here and look at it. Here's a cell right here. Here's a cell. And here's the space B that it lives in here. Okay, there's the cell, that space that it lives in. So here's the cell. The cell is called a what? Name the cell. It is a chondrocyte. And the space that it lives in is a what? Lacuna. Lacuna. Isn't that a cute name? I don't know. I can't give you any relationship with that name at all, unfortunately. Here's the chondrocyte here, and that space that it rests in is the lacuna. Okay, so there we go. All right, good. So that's cartilage connective tissue. What do you see when you look at that? I mean, if you see tree rings when you look at bone, what do you see when you look at this one? Some people say they see fish eyes. Do you see fish eyes?
Mm-hmm.
Fish eyes is good. Oh, I see chondrocytes and lacuna. Okay, that's not the right answer. Okay, we got to have something different than that, right? Okay, so there's cartilage connective tissue. Good. On your line drawing, where's cartilage connective tissue on your line drawings? These drawings right here?
Is it I? No. Wait. H.
Definitely H. Okay, now can you see it? I should have started with that, then you could have moved easily transition from that one. Good. H. Okay, so there's cartilage connective tissue. And again, are the line drawings going to be on the lab test? And you wish? No, but they're a good starting place, right, to visualize. Always.
So just naming the lab.
Exactly. So on the lab test itself, we'll always have colored pictures like the actual slides rather than the drawings of the slides, if that makes sense. But if you're not seeing that, it's great to come back here and then make a comparison, right? Okay, let's go on the line drawings. Let's go to, let's see, HI. Let's go to I. I is kind of a weird picture. Do you see a lot of cells in I? Do you see any fibers in there? I don't see any fibers at all. So I was like, how does this guy get to be? There are fibers in there, you just don't see them very well. The thing I want you to see when you look at that picture is, do you see any nuclei at all?
I see small ones.
No.
I don't know.
Where are the nuclei in those pictures? Can you see any nuclei in those pictures? You kind of can, huh?
They in the lacuna?
Okay, yes. They do have nuclei. They do have nuclei, but you'll see that the nuclei are like, this is what it looks like. The nuclei are like out here somewhere, aren't they? They're like shoved to the outside of the cell. Like they're not allowed to be in there because the cell is so full of something. What's it so full of? If I told you it was adipose tissue, what do you think is inside those cells that make it so full? Fat. Fantastic fat storage. So this is adipose connective tissue. Always give its last name, right? And its nucleus is pushed to the periphery. And you can see up here, it's beautiful pictures there. That's not the one on the lab test though, because this doesn't show up very well at all. On the lab test, the one I really, really like is this one. Can you see it now? Aren't they pretty? Look at those little bitty round bubbles, like little fat bubbles. Look where their nuclei are. Not allowed to be inside the cell. We don't have room for you, buddy. Get out of here. We're full of fat, right? So adipose connective tissue is what it is. And we have to be able to name these cells. Look at their name. It's not too hard. Just start writing adipose and then put a site on the end of it, and you've got the cell that makes up that tissue. Adipocyte. Okay, adipocyte. So what happens when people weigh like 400 and 500 pounds, right? And then they lose a whole bunch of weight. What happens? Do these cells go away? These cells just shrink. What's that word? Let's go back to our first lecture. They don't hypertrophy. That's exactly what they do. Okay, so they're still there, and of course they're always hungry. So when the person starts eating too much again, right? So that's what happens. So anyway, I know you wanted to know. Inquiring minds want to know. So there it is right there. Adipocyte is what it is, and that's adipose connective tissue. Great picture. This is the one I'll definitely use on the lab test. Who's right next to it here? Name this tissue. Good. Name this cell. Osteocyte. Excellent. Sitting in what is the depression that they sit in called? Lacuna. Good. Great. All right. Let's see here. Oh, great. Let's name this tissue. This one's not in your line drawings. We finished the line drawings. Unfortunately, this one isn't in it, but it sure would be nice if it was. I'm looking at number 5 here, and I don't think you have this. Oh, what's number 4? It looks so not dense to me. It must be areolar connective tissue. Excellent. What's the name of the cell making up that tissue? This one's online, by the way. I don't have this printed up for you, unfortunately. It's called the fibroblast. Excellent. Okay, areolar connective tissue. Its cell is the fibroblast. Good, good, good. All right, number 5, I think, is our last connective tissue that we have to name. Let me see if I got it. Yes, it is. Hallelujah. We're here. Okay. The last one is called reticular connective tissue, because what kind of fiber do you think is in there? Collagen, elastin, or
Reticular.
And what is reticular? It's like a what?
Net.
Yes. Can you see it? You see the net in there? It's not perfect like mine, but do you see a black line net in there somewhere? Kind of like it looks almost like it's crosshatched. And remember, when they cut tissue, they don't, they leave parts of it, just like you did when you cut your cells out of your mouth, right? So this is a net. You can see all these net-like fibers here. So what do you have to know about this tissue? First of all, name the tissue, and you're going to write down on the blank what?
Reticular connective tissue.
Good. What's the site? The cell that makes up this tissue. It's really hard. Don't you hope that's on the test? Reticular cell. Yay, right? That's not hard. You can get that right. Yes?
Will you be using that exact photo?
That's the one I really like. Isn't that beautiful? I like that one the best. Don't you like that one the best? Good, 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 good. Of course, unless somebody gets me a better slide, right? I should probably find it right now. Okay, so yes, we'll be using that slide right there. Good. So reticular connective tissue, and that is the reticular cell, is the cell. All right, the last tissue that we're going to go to, tissue family, outside of all of these other pictures, is the nervous tissue. And nervous tissue, I do have a beautiful slide. In the olden days, I used this one. I think this is my reticular right there. It's not very good, is it? The reticular?
I like the other one.
I like the other one too. I like it better. Okay. Oh, what kind of tissue is this? Read it. Skeletal. It's really hard, right? Okay, good. That's not smooth anymore. There's cardiac, good. This is the one I used in the past, okay? This is the last tissue family, epithelium, connective, muscle, and who's the last one? Nervous tissue, good. So this one is cool looking, but I really like the new one I got, and here it is right here. I think it just looks so space agey. He looks so unique, so beautiful. There he is. Isn't that cool looking? What does he look like? An alien. I like that. Like an octopus or something. Mini-armed. Okay, good. So here's the question. I'm going to upload this for you. You'll see it looks very much like the other guy too, that's in the other one. So I could say, name this tissue, and you say the full name of the tissue is just nervous tissue. Okay, well, big deal, right? And the cell that makes up this tissue is called a neuron. That's all you have to know, not cell body. In fact, let's just scratch that off right now of your lab test. Okay, it says note cell body and cell processes. No, I'm not going to ask you any of that. That's not on the test. The two questions on this particular slide are, name this tissue. You say nervous tissue. And then I say name the cell indicated in this tissue, and you say what? Neuron, and we're done with that tissue, right? Good. All right, let's just do some practicing to finish this out. We're just going to do some practicing to finish this out, make sure that we've got all these tissues that we feel really good about. Okay? Name this tissue here to the left. What is this one? Got it? Stratified what? Squamous, and what else? Epithelium. You got it. Name this tissue here. Blood connective tissue. Blood connective tissue. Do we get it? Good. Name this cell at the pointer tip here. Leukocyte. Leukocyte. Good. Who's this one over here? Good. How about this guy over here? Oh, I love you guys. Okay, what's this guy? Okay, good. This is cartilage what? Connective tissue. Good. Name the cell at C that makes up this tissue. What is the name of that cell? There he is right there. Good. And what is indicated at B? The space around it is called the what? Lacuna. Awesome. You got it. Okay. What about this guy? Who's this? Skeletal muscle. Good. What makes that cell so, the striking things on there? Striations. Good. Okay. Name this tissue over here. Nervous tissue. How are you going to be about the lab test? Nervous. Okay, good. And this guy's the who right here? Neuron. Right now I'm changing, all of your neurons are actually changing these interconnections. Do you know that? Anatomy and physiology is having that effect on your brain. All these little guys are like, ah! Okay, anyway, like, I'm breaking. All right, so here we go. Who's this? It looks, did you hear that? Do you hear dense? It's really easy to say that. Look at the cells and see that they are very cylindrical and a single nucleus to know that it's smooth muscle. It's a smooth muscle. That's a good one to get out here. Okay, good. All right, I got a question to ask. How do you feel about these? The ones I have do not show up well on the slide, and these show up really, really well. So I'd like to use these, but I want to make sure you feel confident about these two pictures. Look how well they show up. Are you seeing them real good back there? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Let's go to this one right here. What do you think that is? I'm thinking we're pretty advanced with the cleavage furrow. I'm pretty sure that is telophase, no doubt about it, because the one on the other side is what? If they're pulling apart, it's got to be who? Anaphase. Excellent. Not a cleavage furrow yet in that one. It's real early anaphase before that cleavage furrow is showing. Are you still cool with that though? You can see the chromosomes are coming apart, can't you? So anaphase is real likely. If I had these two together, then this one would very likely be telophase. Is that correct? So you feel good about that? Can you name the structure here? Cleavage furrow. Awesome, awesome. Can you name the structures that are helping that chromosome move apart? Mitotic spindles. You're there. Good. We feel good about that? And the last one is, can you name the dark staining structures in the center of that slide? You feel good about that? That's chromosomes. Excellent. Okay, so I think you're good. So we're okay with these two, and I'll make sure that they're available for you up there. These are the only two out of that grouping that I'll use in there, so I think that you'll feel okay with that. Okay, and then do I have anything else here? Nope, we went all the way through there. We're done with this one. All right, and then let's go. Oh, I was gonna say something there.